Okay, welcome. I'm actually recording this a little early. I didn't quite get to give you guys a heads up. I have a little personal emergency going on, so I had to start this and pre-record this for you guys earlier than I expected. Our regular scheduled lectures for this evening, so I apologize. I didn't expect kind of the happenings going on today. So it's just one of those things, you know, it's called life. So I'm just going to go ahead and pre-record this, and hopefully you guys can get this information early before Thanksgiving, especially. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys, by the way. Tomorrow, just enjoy your day with family and friends. I know I'm going to try to as well. But in the meantime, let's go over week 2, live session 2. We're going to go over your assessment 2 that we didn't get the chance to go over. But before we do that, I wanted to go over a few things in regards to what we will be doing for your assessment 2, as well as I mentioned the last time we were in lecture that I would show some examples from the mood board. So I wanted to show that first, actually. Let me go ahead and bring that up. And I just picked a few from the assessments to show. If yours is not in this selection, don't feel like you did a bad job or anything. I just kind of pulled a few to show today. So, all right, here we go. And like I said, you guys did a great job with these. That's kind of why I want to share these with you all, because I think it's nice to see what other people are doing and be inspired by what you guys see too. All right, so this is the first example here. I think this is nicely done. It's, you know, the grid is working, the layout, the textures. You have your keywords, the logo mark is present, and everything's just kind of jiving together in regards to unifying together as far as color and texture, typography. You know, just kind of all works very nicely together. The next one, and it's kind of neat to see the differences between all of these, because there are big differences between each of these examples, and I love just to see the variety. I think this is a nice simplistic layout, you know, just kind of hitting upon everything that needs to be in here. Keywords, work that's done, examples, very clean, very neat. Says a lot about the style of this particular freelancer and or business. Good job with that. Here's another one that looks very collagey, which is, you know, kind of a Pinteresty look. I like the fact that it looks 3D and it's basic, you know, it's modern, and just like you know, the keywords down there, it has a nice layered effect to it. You have the textures and the colors all kind of working together. And the logo as well, kind of all unifying together. Here's another one that I thought was a good one to show you guys. Just a lot of variety of different work in here. Shows the versatility of the designer. And I just think this is a nice way to show the examples as well. Here's another one. So great job, you guys. I was really impressed by what I saw, especially the work in here too. I think this is a great way to start your projects, you know, getting everything together, be inspired by what you're putting out there in your mood board to create your promotional pieces. Here's another one that's very visually interesting here. Very nice elements going on, just nice layered effects using different shapes and colors. And keywords just nicely layered within there. Here's another one. And it's kind of neat to read through your descriptions of who your target audience is, because it really, you know, reading through, you know, obviously supports what you're showing in your mood board. So it's great. Good job, you guys. I'm very, like I said, I was really impressed by what I saw. So hopefully your mood boards will give you the push that you need to go forward with your assignment 2, projects, which are your promotional pieces. If you missed the lecture from yesterday, just to review the recording, I went through a step-by-step demo on how to approach the promotional postcards as well as the social media ad. And if you have any questions, just let me know. It's what I'm here for. All right, going forward, just a little review here. Week 1 feedback. We kind of hit upon this yesterday. To being profitable, we talked about that a little bit too yesterday, and having a budget. We're going to talk about today. So, and the learning objectives is kind of what we went over as well yesterday. We're hitting upon number 2 on this list here. So creating a financial budget for the first 3 years of the business. Just curious, after week 1, how are you feeling about starting and owning your own business, running your own business? Kind of I know nobody's in here to talk about this, but maybe we can talk about this next week in our lecture. Do you feel like you're more, because you're more aware of how to start a business, that you're either more inspired, or maybe you're kind of like, ooh, that's a lot of stuff I have to do. Maybe you're kind of like, maybe I need to do a little bit more research. Just kind of curious on where you guys are at. All right, hello, budget. Everybody has a budget. Well, should have a budget, right? And so does a business. A business obviously needs a budget in order to run efficiently. Budgeting allows you to create a spending plan for your money. It ensures that you will always have enough money for the things you need and the things that are important to you. Following a budget or spending plan will also keep you out of debt. So there are reasons that you follow a budget. And as far as, maybe personally, but also, obviously if you're owning your own business, this is definitely key to your success. Most businesses fail because they cannot become profitable soon enough. Don't let this happen to you. So I guess it depends on the business too, but you have to kind of have that budget laid out and figured out so that you're adhering to it as closely as possible. Making a budget allows you to forecast and plan ahead so that when you encounter circumstances of situations, you have the resources to deal with them. Obviously it's kind of like a little map. It's a guide. So you need to adhere to that as close as you can. And then obviously you can forecast ahead of time if you need, more money for certain things. You can budget for that. Making a budget is the least exciting thing ever, but if you're diligent and you take time to create it and have the discipline to stick with it, it will pay off long term and you will have a sustainable career. So it is kind of worth, looking into and making sure that you have this set up if you're starting a business. You have to be specific, be realistic, and also be committed. It's just one of those things where, you can't just have this idea that, oh yeah, I want to make a certain amount of money. You want to make sure that, you're being realistic about it. All right, so we're going to talk about a couple things that go with that too. The hourly rate is one thing that we're going to talk about. How do you figure out your hourly rate? And I have a little video here too we're going to take a look at with that. We're going to talk about billable hours, expenses, what expenses are, what earnings are, and what profit is. So kind of breaking it down a little bit so we kind of understand the terminology, kind of what these mean. Okay, so hourly rate. When you think about hourly rate, freelancers, as freelance designers, sometimes it can be a little hard to know where to start, especially when you're a new designer. So you really want to research. You want to make sure you're aligning your hourly rate to maybe other newer freelance artists out there. You're not kind of over, kind of going over what realistically your your experience is set at. So it's almost like, you don't want your hourly rate to be too high because you do want to get jobs, and you don't want it to be too low because you want to be able to get quality work and, obviously get paid for what you do. And there's a couple ways that designers can do this. You don't necessarily have to go with an hourly rate. This is a good way to ensure that you get paid for the hours that you do put in. But there are also instances where you can do like package pricing too. So, but we're going to talk about hourly rate. So your hourly rate is the rate you can charge per hour for your services. This will depend on your experience and also where you are located in the country. Don't underestimate yourself and don't overestimate yourself, just like what I said. So with that being said, as far as charging by the hour, this is by far the simplest way to charge for your time. And it's one that most clients, big and small, can relate to. So start by checking out the competition. Like I said, if you're going to be a web-based business, do a thorough online search of other graphic design shops or freelance offering comparable services. Contact them, get real prices. Have them send you a rate card if they have it. Or you can even call design shops in your city, pretend to be a potential client, a small stretch really. Ask what they would charge for a single ad, for a one-time campaign, for an ongoing project like a newsletter or any type of other project you might find yourself handling. So what can you really charge? So top freelance designers in today's market really can ask anywhere from about $75 to $150 an hour. Those who are less experienced usually pull in from around $35 to $65 an hour. Bigger companies are more likely to pay high-end rates. If you're unsure, ask for their standard freelance rate and negotiate up or down from there. And remember, also, of course, remember to price yourself competitively depending on what you gained from your research. Also, remember that in this when you're dealing with by the hour rates, speed is everything. So keep in mind that this is a make it or break it factor when you charge by the hour. If you're too slow, you may end up losing your shirt by having to cut time if the client balks at the price. On the other hand, you shouldn't be penalized for being fast. If you can turn a job around super quick, pad your time to make sure you're not getting hosed. There's also charging by the project. So there are usually two types of job designers choose to price by the project. Specific pieces, so when you specialize in only a few design services, say creating small space print ads or corporate ID packages, such as business cards, letterheads, etc., it's easier to offer a flat rate fee based on the project. So this works great for single jobs like brochures and even websites rather than multimedia campaigns. Number two, when you have complex projects, when it involves in-depth creative with a considerable amount of back and forth communication between a designer and client, usually it's priced by the project, mainly because it's easier to estimate time for a large project as a whole instead of tracking dozens of smaller increments of time. Plus, clients concerned about hours racking up are more comfortable when they know there's a cap on their spending. So, what is the catch? So you've got to have enough experience to know how much time it takes to create a piece of advertising in order to put a profitable price on the job. Guessing is not a good idea. Leaving the number of hours open-ended is also not smart. So stick with hourly rates unless you're 99% sure you can estimate accurately. And even then, always specify up to a certain number of hours in your client agreement. So this tends to curb unnecessary client revisions. So what are designers getting paid? Small one-man shops are charging anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 for web design, depending on whether or not it includes HTML production. For a big company, that's a drop in a bucket compared to paying $700,000 in a major agency. But remember, it's still a considerable chunk of change to a fellow small business owner. Magazine ads can run from $500 to $1,000 for a design alone. Letterhead packages can start about $2,500. Newsletters, $5,000. And design for a 4-color brochure can range from $2,000 to $10,000. Of course, these are starting points. Pricing really depends on what your market will bear, which only you can determine through research and some trial and error. All right. So, think about this when you are a new free designer. If you don't have much in the way of a portfolio, you're going to have to give more to get your foot in the door. Most clients will expect some sort of price break to make up for the risk of working with someone who is unproven commodity. So just kind of keep that in mind. I also have a video here I wanted to show you about how to, it's a 4-minute video here, how to determine your rate based on freelance needs here. So let's take a look at this.
You can determine an hourly rate for freelance design services in several different ways. The first way is to calculate it based on your actual financial needs. This method doesn't factor in the value of the work to your client's business or provide a premium for your expertise. It's just based on economics. Step 1. Total your monthly expenses. Include all your expenses from rent to food to insurance to entertainment. This is your personal operating cost. Step 2. Total your billable hours. What are the total hours you have to sell in a month? A standard target figure is 8 hours per day, or 40 hours per week, or 160 hours per month. I've observed that most designers don't bill all the hours of their day. On average, about 10 to 25% of their workday is taken up with non-client billable activities, such as running the business, doing self-promotion, or simply downtime. Therefore, to actually bill 40 hours per week, you may need to work 44 to 54 hours. Step 3. Get your break-even rate. Divide your monthly expenses by your monthly billable hours. The result is the hourly break-even rate. You must achieve this hourly rate for your planned amount of hours in order to pay your monthly expenses. Step 4. Determine your published rate. To build in profit, savings, and set aside money for income taxes, you need to add money to increase your break-even rate. To do this, multiply your break-even hourly rate by 3 for a number that can be called your published rate. I say published because this is what you tell clients is your hourly rate, and it is what you'll use to calculate your project fees. If you charge your clients on an hourly basis rather than a fixed project fee, use this published rate. Also, use the published rate to calculate any additional compensation on change orders, which are amendments to the agreed-upon fee you'll be charging your clients for a project. Why multiply by a factor of 3 to get the published rate? Because roughly speaking, 1/3 should be used as your income, 1/3 should be set aside for taxes, and 1/3 should be split in half for profit and for savings to reinvest in your business or to hold for emergencies, self-promotion, or just to cushion the financial ups and downs of being a freelancer. Using thirds works well for taxes in the United States. Other countries may have other tax ratios designers should use. You should have a talk with your accountant or bookkeeper to figure out what they recommend you set aside for taxes. You may need far less for taxes and more for savings, for example. I offer the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 idea as a simple, easy to remember formula. Let's look at an example. Let's say that your monthly expenses are $4,000. You divide that by 160 billable hours and get a break-even rate of $25 an hour. If you multiply that times 3, you get a published rate of $75 an hour. Once you've calculated your published rate, you have to ask yourself, will clients pay this? Is this what other designers with my expertise and in my part of the world get paid? These questions are important. It's why I walk you through a few other ways to think about your hourly rate in this course. I put a worksheet to calculate an hourly rate based on your actual needs in your resource files. Check it out. Maybe you'll find it helpful. A membership to Linda.
Okay, so hopefully that kind of made sense in regards to what to kind of pay attention to when you're figuring out your flat, I'm sorry, your rate, your hourly rate. All right, billable hours is the next topic that we're going to talk about. Billable hours are the actual hours you will be working on client work. It is tempting to think you will work 40 hours a week, but actually in the beginning you will spend much more time looking for jobs than doing jobs. You have to think about that. Number 3 is expenses. When we talk about expenses, they are the actual financial needs you will encounter each month. These range from software to rent, to hardware, to electricity, to internet. You also have your earnings. Earnings are the actual money you bring in through your work. They are the paychecks at the end of a project. And then profit. Your earnings minus your expenses is your profit. Your profit, your profit is what you actually live on and is what you need to be mindful of so you can survive. It's all wrong there. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look. Right back here to, oops, sorry. All right. I'm going to read through your assessment 2 details here. Creating a 3-year budget. All right, so being profitable is the ultimate goal of any business. So we as designers like to focus on the creative aspects of our job. If you're not able to pay the bills, your business will fail. So for this week's assessment, you will create a 3-year budget for your business. This budget will take into account estimated income, estimated expenses, estimated taxes, and estimated profit. It is important to be thorough and specific when doing this because very little can hurt a business like unexpected expenses. Be sure to watch this week's live lecture for a full explanation and demonstration. Below is an example so you can see what sort of information to include. Do not use the example for your budget though. Use your design skills to create a professional looking budget of your own. The site is an excellent resource for estimating taxes. You can go right here to this website right here. So what you do is you just put your location, your household income, your filing status, and should kind of break it down. So let's say you are making around $54,000 in Pittsburgh, filing single. You can kind of put, I would probably leave this, but here is your income taxes broken down here. So your federal taxes at 25%. So I was taking account the 2018 taxes, not 2017. So you can see federal is about $5,258. FICA, again, 7.65% based on the income that you put in there. That's the amount that comes here. There's state, there's local, and there's total. So this is what you'll use for your assessment here. Okay, so this is the federal calculator. Once you have finished with your federal estimate, scroll down about a third down the page for links to state tax calculators. So what they're saying is once you kind of get that federal taxes done, you're going to go down to a third of the page here. Yeah, here. Federal. Local and state income taxes right here. I don't think there's a calculator there though. Okay. Oops. All right. It still kind of says up here though, if you go way up here, it does have the state tax here. So you can just use that. Okay, here is an example. If you download this as an Excel, just click OK. I'll show you how this kind of opens up here. This is just an example, and I'm going to give you guys another one. It's just a little bit more. Oh wait, is this the one that I have too? Yeah. Okay, this is the one to use. I think this is the example you guys have. Listen. Okay, so this is Excel, and what this is showing, what you're going to do is fill this out first. Okay. So we're going to fill out month 1, 2, and 3 based upon your hourly rate and billable hours. So month 1, month 2, month 3 will be in the vertical columns, and then you're going to plan out your monthly expenses, and then obviously your yearly expenses will be totaled. Everything will be totaled up, and I'll show you this in a second. And then you're going to do your taxes based on that calculator. So you're going to do 1 month, 2 month, 3 month. And then from there, you're going to design a completely different look to this. So you're going to use the same information that's in this chart, but you're going to design it in a way that looks tailored to, a nicely designed table of your own. All right, let's take a 5-minute break, and I will come back and kind of go over, just what I would plug in here on my side, just to show you how I would approach this. You guys can definitely use different hourly rates for yours, and also monthly expenses. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, looks like we're back here. All right, so how I would approach this is really kind of think about what your hourly rate would be based upon your experience. Kind of, you can, obviously use the lesser of the amount if you think that, obviously you want to bill yourself your hourly rate appropriately. Like I said, between $35 to $65 an hour would be like the starting rate, and then up from there for more of an experienced um, hourly rate for, if you have more experience. So what you're going to do is just where it says 1, you're going to click in the hourly rate. You're going to put your hourly rate. I'm just going to put 80 for my hourly rate because I have a little bit more experience. And that's a good roundabout rate there. Okay, billable hours a week. We're just going to put, well, I'm just going to put 40. I'm just going to imagine that I got 40 hours a week. That is billable time. Like I said, this is definitely going to be dependent upon, how many projects that you have. But we had to put a guesstimate in there anyway. All right, when we click down, it's going to total it up, gross earnings total a week for this billable hour and hourly rate. So we got $3,200 for the gross earnings. If I were to do that all year, it would be $166,400 earnings per year. Pretty good, huh? All right, but we do have to calculate our monthly expenses. One of those could be utilities, rent, lease. You don't have, obviously if you're at home, you can put your rent in there, software, hardware, training, insurance, printing. We'll do training. I had training in here twice by accident here. We'll do software training. And then we'll put freelance training. There we go. All right. And then you can have an other as well down here if you want. I'm just going to leave that blank. So think about what your monthly utilities would be. If you're living at home, obviously you know your monthly utilities. I'm just going to put in 150. Rent, I'm going to put 1,400. Software, and this is per month, remember. So I'm going to put 20. Hardware, 20. Freelance training, 20. Insurance, about 20. Printing, 20. Software training, about 20. And you'll see that this is adding up down here where the total monthly expenses occur. So it's going to take that in consideration for your total yearly expenses to be $20,040. So monthly and yearly. All right, now the next thing is your yearly taxes. So you remember that website that was given to you guys? Let me go back to it. That link that was given to you guys. Let me click back on that link here. Household income. So if I'm putting in that household income that was down below 146,360. Which would be nice, right? It's kind of giving me my roundabout federal income tax for 2017. All right, so with that being said, and you can see these numbers adjust below when I'm filling this out a little different. So I'm just going to put that number that was in my Excel at the very bottom. So 146,360. At the very, very bottom. All right. So I'm going to go with the federal tax being, excuse me, 26,536. I'm going to go back to my calculator again. And look at, and I can write all this down. The state tax would be 4,493. Okay, you can see it adjusting down here. Social Security tax. Go back. Sorry, I'm flipping back and forth here so much. Oh, sorry, wrong one. All right, so I think what we're going to do, Social Security tax here, we don't really have Social Security added in here. We're going to put federal, we have federal, state, was state in there? Federal, state, FICA, and local. Oh, okay. Look at the FICA next, sorry. FICA is next, which is 10,083. And then local. Local would be 1464. And these are all totals that I put in there for that amount that was originally in blue here. Okay, so that's going to tell me now my total yearly tax will be 42,576 based on my total net income before, whenever everything was tallied up, when I didn't have taxes in there. So now my yearly net income will be $103,784 or first month. Now let's say the second month, we didn't do as many billable hours. So we're still at 80, but instead we did 35 billable hours. You'll see kind of how this changes, but maybe all this stays the same, or maybe not. Maybe utilities go up or down. So play around with that. Maybe this lessens. Maybe you didn't really have training. So kind of play around with those numbers. And then, keep going based on that. Should recalculate here. Oh yeah, it's recalculating. And then what you're going to do is take this number, the 126.28, and you're going to plug it into that calculator that we were putting in there, 126.28. To come up with the new totals here. And then you're just going to plug in the new 2018 taxes in that total. So you're just going to keep going through this. I would just adjust maybe the billable hours, maybe some of the monthly expenses, just to make that total a little different. You can go from lower billable hours, say you start out one month doing 10 hours, and then you go up to 20, and then you go up to 40, kind of see how that changes. But this will kind of get you the totals that you need. So once you're done, you'll have all of these figured out, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your lovely design skills and create your own budget sheet, or budget layout, I should say. So I have some student examples to show you of this, which may help you kind of figure out what you want to do. And, really kind of customize it to your brand. You know how we're working on our mood boards and our promotional materials, make this look like your brand too. Have your logo up there or somewhere in your layout. You can have your name with your address, contact information like this person did. And then design this so that you're showing your total, and this is only showing 1 month, it looks like here. Not sure why this is, maybe this was different whenever I was teaching it because this is an older. Yes, looks like it's just a 1 month here. Okay, so I would say, let me see here. This might be easier to do. I'm showing 3 months. Do I have any examples of showing 3 months? I might. Here, hold on 1 second. Yes, but it's a little different because we did our RIOs. Give me 1 second here. Let me see. Okay, so what I'm going to say is just kind of design it so that you're showing all of your months. I know this is a little different than what I'm showing you here. This is a kind of a simplified look here that I'm showing you. There we go. So what you're going to do is maybe instead of having one column here, see how there's like one column here? You'll have 2 more columns showing one month, 2 month, 3 month. So that'll be kind of this all this will stay the same for the most part. This is what will change. So you'll have 3 columns instead of 1. Okay. I don't want to confuse you, but these are the only examples that I have, and this is the same, showing the same thing, only 1 month. So yeah, okay, watch your spelling too. So here, you know, obviously you would have to design a little differently because this is broken down a little differently, but you will be showing 3 months instead of just 1 month. That's actually showing 1 month. Okay, here's another example. And just remember, you're going to show 3 months. This would just have 2 more columns, just like this, and then on the top have month 1, month 2, month 3. But these are great examples just to show you how 1 month looks. You know, and it's nicely done, you know, with the overall letterhead. All right, you can do this in whichever program that you want to do. I would say stick in either InDesign or Illustrator. InDesign might be easier to align all of your, you know, all of your type, but make it look like your brand, okay? Make it look like your own brand. And then what you're going to do is you're going to submit your final file as an Excel workbook with the following naming convention. And because it tells you to use your design skills to create a professional looking budget of your own, it should probably state in here that you should also save it as a PDF, because if you're taking this out of Excel and doing it in InDesign or Illustrator, I don't believe that you can export it as an Excel. So just do a PDF. So save your initial Excel sheet that I showed you here. I can see that you did it. So finish this up, and when you're done, save it out as an Excel, submit this part, and then take this information and design it into something similar to this, only with your own brand. And you're not going to just show 1 month, you're going to show 3 months. So just kind of be mindful of that. You're just kind of taking that information, laying it out in your own way so that it matches your branding materials. Okay, well, I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know. I will be, I'll be around, obviously. I'm going to keep this a little short because of my schedule right now. So I'm going to give you a shorter lecture here and say happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you guys get this in time to get started with your projects so you can kind of relax for Thanksgiving, and just kind of enjoy, eat lots of turkey, and maybe submit your projects early if you can, so that you don't have to worry about it. You can just relax. All right, so that is basically what I'm just going to wrap it up tonight. And if you have any questions, let me know. I will be on the board soon here, and we will finish up this week on Saturday. So don't forget to start your initial discussions by midnight tonight. And if you haven't so already, also don't forget to respond to two other peers before Saturday, and then everything else is due on Saturday before midnight Mountain Standard Time. All right, guys, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. Enjoy it, and I'll be hearing you guys soon, hopefully. All right, happy Thanksgiving.